Transformers Revenge of the Fallen has been regarded as one of the worst blockbusters of all time. And bear in mind, I saw this film when it originally came out. I think it was, 2009? 2008? And obviously having seen it as a kid, I loved it. And I haven't gone back to this film since I was 11 or 12 years old. So it's been a while. And obviously I finally joined the online sphere when I was in my teenage years. And then I found out that everybody and their dog bloody hated this film. And I was like, okay, is it really as bad as people say? And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of scared to go back to this film because I don't know, it was a thing I love, it was a thing I grew up with, and when it comes to Transformers, for example, the Generation 1 cartoon, the original 80s cartoon, I've only ever seen one episode, and that was because in the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen video game on the PSP, an episode was unlockable, and the episode I unlocked was the Dinobots episode. So I was never really attached to the idea of the original Transformers cartoon. A lot of my Transformers knowledge and experience comes from the Michael Bay films. And look, as the years have gone by, I've been to university, I've studied film, I have a film degree, and so going into this film, I have all this knowledge of scripting and characterization and how to genuinely make a film. And I'm not gonna lie, do you know what? It's not as bad as people say. Do not get me wrong, it is not a good film. On paper, it is fundamentally broken. But as an overall entertaining blockbuster experience to just turn off your brain, this film is so much fun. Again, it's not a masterpiece, and on paper, you bring out the plot points, they're very contradictory and they don't make sense. The overall dialogue is not well written. But as an overall experience in seeing Michael Bay's vision for the Transformers brought to the big screen, Revenge of the Fallen is just so much fun. Now, one of the main reasons why people chalk up to the script being bad was mainly due to the writer's strike that happened, I think, in 2007, 2008. Michael Bay has mainly cited the writer's strike as the reason why this film is bad, and to be honest, I feel like even without the writer's strike, this film would have been better, but it still would have been just as dumb. In many ways, this film is like the first film, just elevated a bit more in terms of action, just with also a dumber script. The amount of plot holes and nitpicks you can throw at this script is just countless. How can Sam start seeing all these Cybertronian symbols from the cube after looking at this shard, but not when he was literally carrying the full thing in the first one? Why does this government agent guy just openly explain where all the plot relevant information is on a web call? Here are the remains of Megatron's body, here's where the last shard of the Allspark is. Why does Sam go clubbing when he knows he has a webcam date with Michaela? Also, speaking of Alice, is Alice an actual person, or is she just a Decepticon that transforms into a random hot blonde girl? Also, why can't Bumblebee talk anymore? In the first film, he gets his voice back, and all of a sudden, he just loses it in this one and starts talking through the radio again. And also, Bumblebee's dynamic with Sam is weird too, because in many ways, he's kind of like Sam's pet, but also he's Sam's guardian, and what is their dynamic? Because in the first film, it was kind of charming in the sense of oh yeah, Sam is being protected by Bumblebee, but also Bumblebee is Sam's first car, and they have this kind of little bond. In this film, Bumblebee is essentially Sam's pet. He saves Sam and his mum and dad from the little Decepticon robots. I mean, granted, he causes way too much destruction, but then after he does it, they kind of just shoo him back into the garage. They're just shoo, bad Bumblebee, bad! And it's Bumblebee is literally an alien robot that is their guardian, and they're treating him like he's their puppy. Also, the dialogue is not great in this.
Mojo, no dominating Frankie.
Now, speaking of the Fallen is not mentioned in the first film. This film just retcons that and it's just yeah, the Fallen was here the whole time on Earth, blah, 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 imprisoned and entombed. And then also, it seems like the Fallen is Megatron's master. And if that's the case, then why was the Fallen not mentioned in the first film? Also, some of the Transformers just end up teleporting in this film. The Fallen just randomly starts teleporting all over the place. Jetfire teleports them to Egypt, and how does that happen? Also, when they're in Egypt, they have to get to the Devil's Triangle, or the Devil's Peak.
Dagger's tip.
The dagger's tip.
The dagger's tip, right?
Basically, they need to go to where the Matrix of Leadership is. But then also, they have to cross the border. But they get across the border without any passports, and the border officer just lets them go through because they're American, and it's what? What?
New York! Yes, from somewhere.
Also, how the hell does Sam come back to life? He's transported to Transformers Heaven, but Sam is not a Transformer. But then also, because he has shown the qualities of a leader, he's able to earn the Matrix of Leadership, and then is resurrected, and it's just, huh? Look, I'm pretty sure there are plenty of other plot points and contradictory plot holes that are in this film.
Beginning, middle, end. Facts, details, condense, plot, telling.
But, At the end of the day, there is a surprising amount of heart to this film, and I was really shocked by that. Particularly with Sam's parents. Like, at the beginning of the film, Sam's dad is all, like, nonchalant about, like, Sam going to college. He's like, oh, get out of here, you're a loser, go on, go meet new people and have new experiences, I don't care. And then all of a sudden at the end, when the Decepticons spring their trap and they've kidnapped Sam's parents, and then Sam sees them and then they regroup, and then Sam has to go get the Matrix to Optimus, but then his dad won't let him leave. That was really powerful stuff. I was there and I was like, for a film that is supposed to be really bad, this part has a really surprising amount of emotion and heart. I don't know if it's the acting between the two actors, but it was pretty good. I felt the emotion there. I was like, okay, this film has like a character arc, and it's kind of emotionally resonant. I do know that there was some semblance of an outline for this film, so maybe that was like outlined in the outline, and Michael Bay kind of just like filled in the gaps, but I was genuinely shocked. I was like, if this film is supposed to be really bad, then I was not expecting any like form of character arcs, but there is one here, and it's pretty good. Also, Shia LaBeouf's performance as Sam Witwicky is great. Don't get me wrong, Sam Witwicky is a weirdo, but I love him. He's my weirdo, okay? He's just this weird dorky dweeby guy, and Shia LaBeouf plays him fantastically.
Like dancing? Like a pairing? Like a duo? Like a coupling?
The parts in the film where Shia LaBeouf has to portray Sam having a mental breakdown because he's seeing all the Cybertronian symbols is genuinely really good acting. Like, it's really hard to act when you have to talk fast and make it seem like you're not rushing your lines or stumbling over your lines, and Shia LaBeouf does it incredibly well.
Break down the elemental components of Energon, assume a constant K rate, extrapolate reach of the...
Also, Dwight from The Office is in this film as Sam's university lecturer, who is just vastly inappropriate, but whatever. And that just shocked the hell out of me. I did not know that was Dwight, that Rainn Wilson. I did not know. That took me by surprise. Now, Megan Fox's Michaela in this film is really just here to be the girlfriend, and she's fine, but she doesn't really get anything to do. Like, at least in the first film, in the third act, she has that bit with Bumblebee in the car, and like, you know, she's helping Bumblebee like drive and shoot. That stuff was cool. In this film, she doesn't really get that. She's just here to be Sam's girlfriend and just scream Sam all the time. That being said, for the most part, all Sam really kind of does in this film is just shout Optimus and Bumblebee. This is the film where Sam becomes a meme of just going, Optimus! Bumblebee! Optimus! Bumblebee! And you know what? In a weird way, this film kind of solidifies Sam and Michaela as like this dream power couple, even though the characters can't admit that they both love each other, and one is not willing to say that they love each other first. And like, that's kind of their whole arc of the film, or at least that's like Michaela's arc of the film or something. I don't know. It's a bit weird. But the way Michael Bay shoots Sam and Michaela together, you can't help but feel like, yeah, they really are like the dream couple. And then it all gets ruined by Dark of the Moon when Michaela is just written out and is replaced by Carly, and it's like, oh, okay. Why did, like, Revenge of the Fallen make it seem like Sam and Michaela were, like, the dream couple? I don't know. I just like Sam and Michaela together. They look really good together. I can't help it. They look like the dream couple. Now, I think the highlight of this film for me is John Turturro. I didn't speak much about John Turturro in the first film, mainly because he doesn't really have a lot to do in that film. He's just there to be like the weird, creepy, pervy Sector 7 agent, and then he just is there to explain a bunch of plot stuff.
And your little criminal girlfriend, look at her now, so mature.
But Revenge of the Fallen is where he shines, because in a lot of ways, Agent Simmons is like Sam Witwicky. He's just an absolute weirdo, and I love him. When he just has to act over the top and crazy and be just this big, dumb character, he's fantastic. The whole one man, alone, betrayed by the country he loves, that was pure gold. John Turturro just nails it.
One man alone, betrayed by the country he loves. Now it's last hope in the final hour of need. Prepare to be driven like never before by the maestro.
I can't tell you how much I love those moments in the film. Like, even Leo. Leo is kind of annoying. Like, he's kind of irrelevant and doesn't really need to be here. But when he teams up with Simmons, it's gold. It's so good.
One man alone.
Stop saying that.
Betrayed by the country he
Oh
loves.
my goodness, I'm in the car, okay? You're not alone.
Also, the twins, I think Mud, Flap, and Skid, I think those are their names. They are not good characters. They're racial stereotypes, and they're bad. Also, I did not realize, but Tom Kenny voices one of them, which is just problematic in itself. But then also, Wheelie. Oh god, Tom Kenny, what did they do to you? Why did they make Wheelie hump Megan Fox's leg? Like, No! SpongeBob! No! Stop humping Megan Fox!
Say my name.
Speaking of some of the new Transformers though, the designs are pretty cool. For example, Sideswipe. Sideswipe to me was always like the cooler version of Jazz. They've got wheels for feet and they kind of like skid around and they've got like those like really cool like long sharp metallic swords in their arms. They're pretty cool. I quite like Sideswipe's design. And for the most part, when it comes to Michael Bay's Transformers films, at least the original trilogy, I like the design work here. Granted, they are a bit too sharp and jaggedy and very busy, but for the most part, I think the design work, making the Transformers look organic but also alien at the same time, is very cool. And I really like the design of the Fallen. Like, I think the Fallen looks cool, very Egyptian-like. Though I did see images of the original concept art of the Fallen, and they genuinely look like the Decepticon logo. Kind of wish they went with that, because that is pretty cool. Also, I really like the design of the Matrix of Leadership, that kind of like jaggedy, spiral, metallic thing. I kind of want a prop of that. I think that looks really cool. And speaking of cool, the concept for Devastator is cool. The design is, it's a bit weird. Why does he have testicles?
I am directly below the enemy scrotum.
The action in this film is awesome. The forest battle between Optimus Prime, Megatron, Starscream, and Blackout, that was awesome. That was sick. It made Optimus Prime look cool, because granted, Optimus Prime in the first film, whilst he looks cool, when it comes to him fighting Megatron and stuff, he's kind of a wimp. He just gets like ragdolled around by Megatron in the third act of the first film, and it's kind of it. In this film though, Optimus Prime is a beast. The way the camera moves and the action is framed is just so cool. That forest fight is awesome. This is how action should be done. And then we have the final fight between Optimus Prime, Megatron, and the Fallen. And that was just so sick. When Jetfire gives Optimus Prime all of his parts and then Optimus is like upgraded, and then he just goes and just decimates Megatron and the Fallen. It's so sick. He like blows up half of Megatron's face and then like rips the Fallen's like mask off and then like crushes his heart and stuff. That's so cool. That is amazing. Is it over the top violent for a kid's film? Yes. Is it cool? Hell yes it is.
I rise, you fall.
Granted, this is the start of Optimus Prime being an absolute psycho and war criminal, because Dark of the Moon just escalates it even further than in this film. Like in this film, Optimus Prime is brutal. In Dark of the Moon, Optimus Prime is a straight up war criminal. That being said though, Optimus Prime being a war criminal is kind of cool. Like, it's not the character at all, but the way Michael Bay kind of glorifies it, it's just visually really cool to see. Also, the Linkin Park song New Divide that plays over the credits is an absolute banger. I love that song. I kind of love how all of these films just end with a Linkin Park song. They're kind of great.
So give me reason to prove me wrong, to wash this memory clean.
The best way I can describe Revenge of the Fallen, and for the most part the Michael Bay Transformers films, is that they are the definition of dumb, fun, turn off your brain action films. And you know what? That's not a bad thing. I don't think it's insulting to call these films that, because we kind of do need these films from time to time. Not everything needs to be high concept, high fantasy, high art. They aren't the best written things, but they just ooze the passion of Michael Bay. Michael Bay just wants to thrill the audience, put cool explosions on screen, put hot people on screen. And that's okay, to be honest. I don't think that's a problem. This film is not trying to be an intellectual blockbuster like Inception, like The Lord of the Rings, like Dune, like Gladiator. It's not trying to do that. It's just trying to be big, dumb fun. In many ways, Michael Bay just wants to play with action figures on the big screen using great visual effects and great cinematography, and that's kind of it. The original Transformers trilogy is not asking its audience to be intellectually engaged. It's just going, hey, look at all this cool shit. And I think that's fine. Going back to these Transformers films, it made me just realize the issue I have with a lot of the modern blockbusters from the 2010s and even the early 2020s. And that's mainly, they don't know what they're trying to be. In many ways, a lot of them feel like they are just made by corporations and there's not really a soul to them. For example, I'll take Thor Ragnarok, alright? Unpopular opinion, I don't like Thor Ragnarok. And one of the main reasons why I don't like Thor Ragnarok is because it, for me, tonally doesn't know what it wants to be. Half of it wants to be a Taika Waititi spoof, and the other half wants to be a serious epic Thor film. Love and Thunder has the same problem. The original Suicide Squad was hijacked by the studio and turned into something that it was not trying to be. The original Suicide Squad film wanted to be a grounded crime drama. That's what David Ayer said he wanted it to be. But the studio turned it into a weird Guardians of the Galaxy knockoff, and the film overall totally did not know what it wanted to be. The theatrical cut of Justice League, again, it doesn't know what it wants to be. Its original concept was a dark take on the Justice League, but then the studio hijacks it, brings in Joss Whedon, and they sort of like manipulate it and turn it into this weird Avengers wannabe MCU type thing, and it doesn't work. You can't really say that about the Michael Bay Transformers films. There's a soul to them. They knew what they wanted to be. Michael Bay just wanted to play with action figures. He wanted to put sexy people on the big screen. He wanted audiences to be immersed in the visual effects and get blown away by the imagery. I mean, is it suitable for a kid's film? I mean, not entirely. They're very crude, they're very sexist, and they're very racist. But overall, I watched these films when I was a kid, and I turned out somewhat decent, I think. Is Transformers Revenge of the Fallen a cinematic masterpiece? Hell no. It is far from it. The plot holes in this film, the writing in this film, it's not great. But as a piece of mindless entertainment, I don't think there's any real harm to it. Like, it's dumb fun. I don't think it being a big, dumb, turn off your brain type of movie is an insult, because at the end of the day, this is based off a bunch of toys from the 1980s. Like, yeah, it's based on a bunch of toys. You can be big and dumb and fun. Like, this is not trying to be high art with a bunch of philosophical conundrums, all that kind of stuff. Nah, it's just Michael Bay playing with action figures on screen, and it's fun. Michael Bay's passion and cinematic vision for this series is what makes it so engaging to watch. It's edited briskly, it's shot nicely, and overall you believe the visual effects on screen. Again, it's not trying to be self-important, it's not trying to lecture you, it's just big dumb fun, and I really appreciate that. I loved this film as a kid. Granted, there is some nostalgia bias, I guess, towards this. There's a reason why I do kind of love it still, because yeah, these films were part of my childhood, but also, as a piece of entertainment, it's fun to watch, even if it doesn't make any sense. And you know what? That's okay, because the film knows that it's not the most self-important thing, and it's big dumb action and big dumb fun, it's fine. That's what I like. I like that the film knows what it wants to be and is not trying to be anything else. I kind of love that. It's okay to like things that are big, dumb, and fun, so long as you can acknowledge that they are big and dumb and fun. But what do you guys think? Do you agree that this film is basically an abomination, it should never have been made, and it's just a big piece of crap? Or do you have fun with it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, follow me on social media, all that good stuff. Until we meet again, see you guys next time.